Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back to your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. Now, we just recently saw some working papers getting released from the International Monetary Fund. Now, this is one of those elite organizations out there that have been really kind of guiding us in terms of what they are doing around new technologies in this new age of digital everything, including, of course, digital finance. Now, this got released on February 2nd, and it is ASAP, or ASAP, a conceptual model for digital asset platforms. Within this, we have a summary. The summary itself is this working paper inaugurates the technology fundamentals for digital finance series, concentrating on the technical aspects of financial digital assets. The series aims to facilitate the use of a clear terminology in a nascent platform-oriented paradigm of financial infrastructures by laying the groundwork for technical discussions on digital asset standards. The paper introduces a conceptual model named ASAP, Access Service Asset Platform, for digital asset platforms, or DAPs, leveraging insights from IT industry practices and experiments by central banks. The ASAP model is illustrated through examples and use cases of tokenized assets to demonstrate the possible usage and merits of modeling digital asset platforms with 4 layers. Just as the utilization of a 7-layer model, often referred to as TCP/IP, has been fundamental to the interoperability of the internet, it is anticipated that the 4-layer ASAP model for digital asset platforms will similarly promote cross-platform interoperability, including across various jurisdictions, paving the way for a more cohesive digital asset ecosystem. Now, as we look at this, right, it's very interesting on who's the author of this. You have 2 individuals, Victor Badao, I hope that I'm saying this name correctly, and then also Hervé Torpe. Now, these 2 individuals are very interesting in terms of where they come from. For an example, if we go back in time on Hervé's background, we can go back to April of 2018, where we had excited to moderate on Thursday a panel with Jeremy Allaire from Circle and Ryan Zagone from Ripple on Beyond the Hype, how blockchain does in reality facilitate financial inclusion and cross-border payments. Interesting. But then also we got this one as well from April of 2018. For established blockchain companies Circle and Ripple, there's no doubt crypto assets will become prevalent throughout financial systems soon. As Ryan Zagone puts it, in 2018, we're moving away from blockchain good, crypto bad view to real application. So it's definitely interesting, but it also proves to you on how significant the connections between Ripple and a lot of these companies around the space are to the IMF. Now, like I said, there's not just Hervé here, there's also another individual. You might be questioning, well, where does Victor play a role? Well, here you guys actually have the BIS Innovation Summit. This is March 21st through March 22nd, 2023. Now, if we go down to where Victor is mentioned, he is on, of course, the International Monetary Fund. By the way, a lot of these individuals have they've authored many white papers or just papers in the past around digital assets and things like that. Specifically, Tommaso, I hope that I'm saying that name correctly, I'm probably not, Mancini. This is one that has been writing a lot of articles with another individual, which we are going to go over. And his name, well, you guys probably already know it because you have seen this PDF file, Tobias Adrian. Now, I've done a full breakdown on Tobias Adrian in the past. There's a lot of IMF leaders that are actually authoring this one, which is Trust Bridges and Money Flows, a digital marketplace to improve cross-border payments, which we will get to here in a second. But we have down here Ripple being represented by 2 players, Joe Villano and also James Wallace. And this is all around central bank engagements and CBDCs. A lot of this is focused on CBDCs. But again, Ripple was not the only one there. Stellar was there. Uniswap was there. There's a lot of big players here. The World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the UN, the list goes on and on and on. But this is the types of discussions that are ongoing right now around a lot of these big initiatives. In this white paper, though, the full summary is the efficiency and stability of financial systems. We actually have the efficiency and stability of financial systems are hotly debated topics, intrinsically linked to the evolving nature of financial assets in the digital era. Innovations like tokenization and programmability of assets have spurred discussions about finance's future. Efforts to understand and shape this trajectory are underway, aiming to mitigate the spillover effects from emerging financial infrastructure paradigms like digital asset platforms. And what's kind of crazy about this, right, is one of the big things that I will mention with all of this is the fact that they are literally telling you that they are already trying to prepare for this new system. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be all on Ripple and XRP because it's not going to be, right? It's not just going to be a one size fits all. It's not just going to be, hey, XRP is going to move all the money. That is ridiculous. But one thing that I will say on this is the fact that I know that we've been waiting a very long time, but right now, all of the prices that you see around crypto, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, they're all nonsense. They're all speculative, fueled by hype, fueled by people trading it like it's nothing practically. At the end of the day, we are very early on into this digital realm of payments and finance itself. That's also the number one reason why I say, like, yeah, when we look at price right now, yeah, we should be diversified. We should be holding other assets. We should be focused on, what is the next big hype thing in crypto, because that's where most of the money will be made. But at the end of the day, where the most amount of money will be made, and I'm talking about like life-changing wealth, it's in the long-term side of holding things that are going to be crucial and a part of this new realm of finance being created. And like I said, if we go back in time, Ripple has major connections to the IMF. And we're not just talking about these connections. When I mentioned, right, Tobias Adrian, there was an article on the International Monetary Fund's website, and it was from June 21st. And it was actually with Tobias Adrian and Tommaso Mancini. These two have been, like I said, drafting a lot of these major articles and PDF files and things like that around the digital realm of money. Now, this was from June of 2021. We have digital forms of money could be a boon for emerging market and lower income economies if the transition is well managed and regulated. And that is exactly what they're trying to do here. But I want you all to understand on how long this actually takes to implement. They've been planning around this for well over 10 years. We know this from a lot of the PDF files, even from going back a decade. But the thing that I want everyone to understand right now is that we are already deep inside of this transition. So when we really look at what's going on with this massive change, don't give up now. We are so close to it. Over the course of the next few years, you are going to start to see major focus from institutions. We already have it. We're starting to see the space mature in a way that is actually very beneficial for a lot of these major players in the space, including, of course, even XRP. But we are at a moment in time where we are going through a very significant paradigm shift in finance, and it's going to truly transform everything. We actually have digital money has the potential to transform the financial sector. Emerging markets and lower income countries stand to gain the most from this dramatic shift. And it's because we've been focused on this for so long that it kind of feels like it's not happening, right? A lot of people think that, oh, it's not happening, nothing's going on. But at the end of the day, we're witnessing everything that needs to be put in place in order for this to actually happen. Regulation, standardization, like all of that is crucial. But everything outside of that, it's already there. We already have everything in place. We're just waiting on that last major step, which is regulation, standardization. And over the course of the next 2 years, we will already have that in place. Now, do I think that we need to wait 2 years for XRP to go up in value at all? No. But you're not gaining anything from sitting here just looking at the price action on the 15-minute chart. When we look at XRP, yeah, I get it. Price action is not there just yet. But outside of that, there's been so many other great assets that I've talked about on the channel that have done very well. LCX, for an example, is one that has been absolutely going crazy. Rose is another one that has done very well. There's a lot of other great opportunities. And I'm not saying that, hey, we should get out of XRP while the getting is good. I'm just saying when we look at XRP, this is much more of like a crucial play in terms of the global financial system. So things are going to take time for it to hit, $50, $100, things like that. In the short term, yeah, we could still see XRP hit that high $7 to $10 plus range. And I think that a lot of people will be extremely happy with that $7 to $10 range. And we will see that, in my opinion, in the short term. But in the long term, that's what I'm really excited for. But like I said, Tobias Adrian and also Mancini, they are two of the most prominent names around the IMF. Within this, right, a digital marketplace to improve cross-border payments. This was from March of 2023, so this is only roughly going back a year ago now. XRP is a highlighted term in the glossary, and Ripple is highlighted as one of the three models that arise around this revolution of finance around cross-border payments. A private settlement asset marketplace such as Ripple's XRP, an open source marketplace such as Stellar Foundations, or more recently, DeFi networks and marketplace and settlement asset based on unbacked crypto assets such as Strike with, of course, Bitcoin. Now, what do I get out of this? Ripple and XRP, it's more so private settlement asset marketplace, which is more so focusing on institutions, focused on the big banks. It's more B2B. That's what I really kind of get from that. With Stellar, it's more open. It's more P2P. We've talked about this. Now, Bitcoin, I'm not even going to highlight Bitcoin because we already know that at the end of the day, stablecoin adoption over Bitcoin is probably going to be the big thing that everyone's more so focused on. I already talked about it, right? Stablecoins are favored more than Bitcoin at this point for transactional demand because, again, who wants to actually utilize Bitcoin for transactions, especially scalable transactions? And the Lightning Network, don't even get me started on it. I've already talked about it. It's extremely vulnerable to hacks, to exploits and things like that. And it's also a network that does have its major problems. But beyond this, right, we know that Tobias Adrian, going back all the way to 2020, international payments are expensive and the structure is not very well built. Ripple is an example because it has new technology that increases financial inclusion. This is Tobias Adrian, and you probably already recognize where this was. That was that meeting with Brad Garlinghouse, with some major leaders from the ECB, for example, the IMF, the World Bank, the BIS, you name it. Listen closely to this clip. I already played it on the channel multiple times in the past, but listen again.
And, a large part of the population in the world doesn't have access to bank accounts. And even if it does have access to bank accounts, those are extremely expensive. It's expensive to make payments, wirements, international payments. So I think one of the big motivations for this new technology, right, because Agustin is asking why, is that there's huge financial exclusion, and these technologies have proven to increase financial inclusion enormously. So I think you have to look broadly around the world. I think this is one motivation, and I think the Ripple example is one example, and Norman has talked about that, is that international payments are very expensive, and the structure is not very well built. And
again, they do say, one great example is Ripple, and they do even highlight that example of financial inclusion. Like, financial inclusion was the focus back then, and it still is even today. But also remember, like, Ripple is in the same the same rooms with these people like Tobias Adrian that are, major prominent names at the IMF, for an example. And then also recently, we have this, which, by the way, for those that don't know, this got released November 15th, 2023. This is at the Singapore FinTech Festival, the Digital Finance Voyage, a case for public sector involvement. And if we scroll down, we have this section that is the CrossBorder Payments Voyage. To the extent CBDCs are deployed, they must be built to facilitate cross-border payments, which are at present expensive, slow, and available to few. Again, we must start this work today so we don't have to backpedal tomorrow. Efficient cross-border payments allow for capital to get more quickly to where it is needed. Small businesses can grow beyond borders, and households can receive needed funds from abroad. While we see encouraging declines in the cost of remittances, they remain above Sustainable Development Goals targets. We must ensure that countries do not get stuck on the wrong side of the digital divide. Now, we have down here, we know what to do to make cross-border payments more efficient in the short term, improve what we already have. This is the spirit of the G20 roadmap to enhance cross-border payments. In fact, I'm happy to announce that the IMF and the World Bank will soon publish a common plan to provide capacity development to countries in just this area. But in the medium term, new cross-border payment platforms may help. Think of these as next-generation virtual town squares where central banks, commercial banks, and potentially even households and firms can gather to exchange CBDCs in wholesale or retail form. Such platforms can even be built to interface with traditional forms of money and manage risk from payments. Now, mind you, a lot of these platforms that they're mentioning here could very well be like Ripple with their CBDC and stablecoin platform. These platforms are being actively explored by a range of players. Banks and fintech companies are at the forefront. Again, Ripple being one of those private fintech companies that are very transparent. They are one that is at the forefront. They have been at the forefront. They're building infrastructure to pay each other and to exchange financial assets on common blockchain networks. The public sector is also pushing the frontier, including with the help of the BIS Innovation Hub. The Monetary Authority of Singapore is particularly active as well. Its Project Guardian explores platforms to exchange digital money and assets. IMF staff will participate in Project Guardian as observers to advise on the implications for the international monetary system. Again, as we really look at this, right, what we are starting to see is the private and the public sector collaborating heavily. And I focus on those players that have the most efficient, best-in-class technology and offering possible. Again, do I even need to mention the fact that Ripple has been around for well over 10 years plus? They've been building around the cross-border payment space. They've been focused on it for a while. Outside of that, they recently just joined the BIS's CPMI group, which is crucial for cross-border payment infrastructure. I mean, at the end of the day, things are changing fast. And I just want to wrap this video up with this post here from Tokenizer, which is interesting stuff in this assistance paper by the IMF and the World Bank. Focus points are exactly what we've seen from financial authorities. ISO 20022 and API harmonized for new payment system. They also mentioned the use of digital assets in cross-border payments. And here you can actually see everything that they are focused on. And it's kind of crazy at this point in time that not enough people are actually focused on what they are doing. Because again, when I look at the CPMI group, it really kind of takes me back to a lot of what we have been mentioning for well over 2+ years now around XRP and what we've been, witnessing around what Ripple has been focused on and a lot of the meetings that they've had with a lot of these elite organizations. But we have adoption of ISO 20022, right? Made with the introduction of ISO 20022 messaging standards, these amendments ultimately aim at improving the consistency and usability of message data in cross-border payments and facilitating more efficient AML/CFT checks. Once adopted, these new requirements will be included in relevant IMF technical assistance on AML, and CFT efforts such as, for example, ongoing and upcoming projects related to the implementation of CDD and record-keeping requirements, financial flows analysis, risk-based AML, and also CFT supervision and legal drafting models. Then we have here priority theme number 3, harmonize ISO 20022. Again, cross-border payments being the focus. And here's where we have the CPMI group also being mentioned, as well as CPMI 2023. Authorities will be encouraged to consider the harmonized version of the ISO 20022 standard in their migration plans. And then down here, the IMF will prepare an outreach program, including through its regional training centers, to promote awareness and implementation of the IMF and also the FSB work on crypto assets. The IMF will develop a program to promote the IMF and also FSB recommendations for a comprehensive policy framework for crypto assets. Creating an effective policy environment will allow for cross-border payment to benefit from advances in digital technology while guarding against macroeconomic risk and risk to financial stability and integrity. Again, all centered out on standards around cross-border payments. Even the World Bank is focused on this. They are actually promoting interoperability of digital ID and data exchange for cross-border payments by leveraging cross-sectoral collaboration within the World Bank. Furthermore, the World Bank will work on integrating API harmonization considerations and guidance in its support for new and upgraded payment systems and also open banking. And mind you, do I even need to mention all of the big players that are tied to this essentially? It's not just Ripple and XRP. It's also Quant, it's also XDC, XLM, HBAR, some of the major players that even Tokenizer is mentioning here. Algorand could also be mentioned, Casper technically. There's a lot of big players that are tied to this, but when we talk about ISO 20022 specifically, really the names that come up to me is Quant, Ripple with XRP, Stellar with XLM, even Hedera could technically be mentioned, XDC with Impul. These are the big ones. But outside of this, things are changing heavily. And I really want people to focus on, outside of just price action, because it's so easy to just get caught up in price action. And I know my situation is different than everyone else's. I can be extremely patient when it comes to XRP. I know what XRP is. I know what Ripple has been doing with XRP. And I also know the power behind XRP. I get it that when we really look at what's been happening in the last couple years around XRP, the overall focus can be lost. Frustration is at an all-time high. When we really look at patience is dwindling. But I want you all to realize that we are in the deep waters now of what they have been planning for a very long time. When I say they, I mean these large organizations like the IMF, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, and so many others. So don't lose focus at this point in time. Again, you are more than welcome to sell your XRP and go buy other things. I don't care if you hold XRP. I don't care if you buy XRP. I'm just here reporting on what I have found and the connections that I have found as well in the last few years of researching Ripple and XRP and all of these organizations that are the ones that actually pull the strings when it comes to changes around the global monetary system. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if there's more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.